Yeah, that's the first time I've heard you speak.
Yeah.
I'll have to make some assumptions to
Yeah.
get my question out, but you'll
Yeah.
tell me.
Yeah.
If this is just a illusion,
Yeah.
and if what is constant is energy and spirit,
Yeah.
then that means that our spirit is on a journey,
Yes.
so to speak.
Right.
And if that is in fact the case, what is to say that that journey that our spirit is in is not attached to race? That is to say, what is to say that in your earlier life you weren't a white slave master?
Okay.
Okay.
Very good question.
And
Very good question.
And I'll leave it at that. My
Well,
point
I'm
is that-
going to deal with that one.
My point is that when you come to that,
Yeah.
if that was the case, for the example, if you
Yeah.
were a slave master in your early life, then you now are reaping something.
Okay.
And it is a necessary experience.
Now, what happened when there wasn't no slave masters? What would bring about that? First of all, this is the key. It's right there in the Gnostic scriptures. The Gnostic scriptures tell you that the soul attached to it a shadow. And there cannot, you ever heard of the shadow of God? Mm-hmm. The shadow is melanin, the carbon substance. It is actually the soul that produces the melanin in alchemy. So there's no way that you can incarnate. There's no way that you can be a soul one time and not be a soul after that. First of all, the great mystery here is, and I just did a tape on this last night. See, the great mystery here is the white boy get us wandering in the dark.
More people are having experiences and interactions and dream time experiences. Are we at another gateway, or was 2012 one of these gateways?
Okay, so she's nodding yes to 2012.
Okay.
It was the start of the opening. She says the doorknob turning and opening was what 2012 was, and now we are slowly pushing that door open more and more. And then she visually showed me the door opening with the visual of several different kinds of beings, and that's where the hope is, to open that door to a point where we can visually see them once again. She doesn't have contact and visual experiences as we once had.
Can she tell us about the hybrid children?
She says there are several different programs of hybridization. Which one?
The Zetas?
But see, the ancient Egyptians was the sage race. They recorded all this shit before we left the planet. Now, in this book, Hermetica, this is what the Old Testament is based off of, and the damn New Testament. Now, in here it tells you that you got people up in here that have souls and people who don't have souls. You got to understand what a soul is.
This is the first drawing of a hybrid child that has a whole page to herself, and what she was trying to say is that her whole essence is more than just her physical body. It's really, her whole world, and we can see that with her unicorn and the crystal and this mystical world that she inhabits.
And that's the reason why we think a soul and a spirit is the same. A soul is something different. On the earth plane, everything has a spirit. Black and white, roaches, rats, cats, mosquitoes, everything that moves upon the earth plane is a spirit. An astral spirit. A soul is a sun that existed before known creation and cannot exist after creation, because the simple fact, it was always here. So, Europeans who are hybrid species, which we got all the evidence, because right in the Hermetic text, the Egyptians say our biggest problem, we learned how to make another damn man. You got it in black and white. Got a whole tape broken down on that shit you can get. If these species, new species, came into existence after creation, they don't have a soul, because the soul is a primordial thing that existed before creation, because the word soul, solar, sun, S-U-N and S-O-N. So there's no way that you can be a white man without a soul, one incarnation, and all of a sudden you mysteriously get a soul. A soul was in the beginning. So this hybrid thing based on incarnation. Because the incarnation, because in order for you to pull down that soul, you have to have a soul to pull down that soul.
I am here, very close by. White energy comes through my energy field. I read minds. I am in Taurus constellation, Central Sun Station. I like to walk around the planet. My name is EOI. I love you. I love the planet Earth. People aren't recognizing the toroidal field energy. When you say hi to us, we say hi back. It's difficult with people because they can't listen to themselves, let alone us. We're right here, close by.
It's just like any other species. Ain't no way in hell a cat gonna be a dog in the last incarnation. It don't go that way. You see what I'm saying? It don't go that way. These souls, you understand what I'm saying, is pulled down, and in so many words, it's just like them babies. You so much what you want. Your energy is solar phallic energy, which pulls down souls, because you are the original people. That which don't have a soul can't pull it down. That's why you can't have one whole race of goddamn hybrid people with souls.
So, the hybrid children, talk me through it. How did you first discover?
So several years ago, about 3 years ago, I came to LA, and I had a private session with Bashar, who is a channeled extraterrestrial. It was about an hour deep, and I asked him about these experiences that I had had when I was like 16 and older, that I could remember when I was 16, where I would have these like sleep paralysis in the middle of the night. I would wake up and I couldn't really move, and I'd have somewhat of like a fearful experience. And then one night I remembered like thinking, oh my God, they're coming for me.
Otherwise, why ain't no goddamn melanin people born with them? She seemed to me, goddamn it, they can have a damn black child. We damn sure can have a white one. But we know that there's 2% of white people that are black, based on some genetic gene pool. But 2%, those are not damn white people. Those are black people. So in the incarnation pattern, it's not a random incarnation pattern that just jumps all over the world. There's a bloodline. Hell, the goddamn Egyptians tell you that. The Hebrews tell you that. There's a bloodline, there's a lineage. And the melanin in the alchemical component proves that, because you can't get the God substance, not unless you came from the original seed.
This is Jack's ball. He loves it. And I have several shiny gems, but this is one of my favorites. It's quartz. Ellie Keith, who channels letters from the hybrid children, did this wonderful watercolor for me. She channeled Amelia's name, and Amelia told her that this is a flower. Amelia's very into nature, and this is a flower that Amelia saw on a planet where the kids were visiting. So she also sent love. So those are 6 of my 23 children.
You see what I'm saying? So this whole, the incarnation thing, you have to study that. It's not a random pattern that jumps all over the place. Otherwise you'd have white people popping up, black. You see what I'm saying? That's a hybrid species. You see, that was created. Now, the Egyptians say that on the temple walls of Como, the temple walls of Seti I, Hereditary Papyrus of the British Museum, the Nag Hammadi Library dug up in 1945, the Hermetic text, all of us say, we created the white man. Now you got it in black and white. You see what I'm saying? We got more evidence on that than we have a theory of some people mutating in the Ice Age.
I read minds. I'm a writer, connecting energies while people sleep. We're right here. Was he remembering us, Emera? Emera, you are my mom. Was he remembering me? Hello, it's nice to engage in interactive activities with you. Just because you can't see me doesn't mean I'm not here. It will take time to see me. Right now I am close. Love you. I am looking for pores on the planet.
Because we didn't come from apes. So we was no dumbass not to get out the ice in the first place. Depends on how you go. Because I'm going to tell you, see, the good part about me is I have to know. So I don't take nobody's excuse. I have to go get the text. And I'm trying to tell you, after 9 years of spending all I have in the text, I'm telling you, I don't see no damn text ever that say that we came from no apes. And it's clear that the soul has to have a shadow. Even Blavatsky says, no shadow, no God. And the shadow is 6 protons, 6 electrons, 6 neutrons, which is carbon. So it ain't a random thing here where we jumping all about and we're just all one. We're not just all one. That's the white man telling us that shit.
And then she visually showed me the door opening with the visual of several different kinds of beings, and that's where the hope is, to open that door to a point where we can visually see them once again. She says, and have contact and visual experiences as we once had.
Can she tell us about the hybrid children?
She says there are several different programs of hybridization. Which one?
The Zetas?
She says the Zeta star system has been incorporated or interacted with your Earth for quite some time. They have not been so benevolent, but yet they have brought many benefits to the human species, such as sciences, mathematical reasoning, these type of things, and they also work well with other beings that have brought this. So you can say the interaction has been beneficial to have their type of species along the Earth for a time.
So he can somehow put himself in tree. If we was all one, why the fuck were you here in the beginning? And what took you a goddamn million years to get here? If we all one, where the fuck did you come from? The Kabbalah say that you have the intruders. Now what's an intruder? An intruder is a nigga that wasn't there in the beginning. Now intruding and masquerading as the original species.
And then one night I remembered like thinking, oh my God, they're coming for me.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, well, that was an odd thing to think. So I asked him about that. And then he was like, basically he said that it was abduction experiences with the Zetas, the Greys. And then he went in, he actually just offered it up to me. He said that I had a hybrid child and she wanted to make contact with me, and her name is Pearl.
Pearl. Who named her?
She named her.
She named her.
That's her name. Yeah, that's
cool.
her choice. Yeah, so I was just like, I didn't even know what to say, so I didn't even ask anything more. I was just like, thank you.
You see what I'm saying? So what it is here is the Gnostic scriptures say they are incapable of salvation. So they're only a part of the matrix. They're just like those programs you saw in the Matrix. When the Matrix disappear, they disappear. They were only an illusion.
She looks very human. She looks like me when I was her age.
Okay.
Like she was about 9 years old.
So she hasn't got many like alien characteristics.
Well, no, not really.
No.
It's funny, like I was really surprised by that. That was the first thing I said. I was like, wow, like you're so cute and you look human. Her eyes are just like slightly bigger.
So the soul is all there is. Now, do we have to have time to sort out this? It really don't matter. Because we know that the shit it's gonna get down anyway and let the chips fall as they may. So we don't even have to even sit out here and wonder whether this white person got a soul. That ain't up to me. That's up to my energy and up to my soul. Right now, it stands to reason that your ass is a cracker. And you ain't had one convert to Christ out here to suggest that you are an advanced being. Because why they ain't in the ghetto? See, I often wonder about that shit. They done had 130 years into this metaphysical knowledge and know the truth, but yet they ain't stepped to us yet. They ain't never to be found in the ghetto. Now here it is, you know that the black man is the original man. Why they only come to the ghetto with that Jesus bullshit? You understand what I'm saying? Which is the doggone mind control.
What we have found is they are unable to reproduce, and they are in need of DNA exchange. And so there have been interactions as such, she says. In the future, the exchange will also occur where they will give you more information on technology and how to use it in your benefit, as well as how to integrate other perspectives into their consciousness, mainly more of the human perspective,
Right.
emotion, happiness. They don't understand the joy that humans can feel, but they seek it. And in order to incorporate it, they are using the DNA, in a sense, to bring that energy in.
You understand? And why is it you can't take your black ass and get up in their lodge? Stand the reason I don't have to worry about the shit. Motherfuckers ain't coming to me. You can't go get up in their lodge. So as far as I'm concerned, soul or not, you got a gun. You the fucking enemy. You can't go get up in their lodge. See, yeah, you say integration. You can't go get up in their lodge. They don't play that shit. Homie don't play that shit. You can't go get up in their lodge. And why is it the white man ain't taught you this motherfucking shit over 130 years? He had 130 years to convince you to what you want to know. You want to believe that the white man love you. But why the hell he ain't come and told you this shit? You ain't had no of them say the black man is God. But the Elijah Muhammad told you. Now we got the shit that's in bad witness to it. A cat can't be a damn dog. A snail can't be no lion. No matter how much they convince that shit.
This is what the hybrid children will be like. She's saying they have done several different experimentations where the hybrid children can procreate amongst each other as well as other species to create a broader perspective for their own species. Mm-hmm. Initially, it wasn't so. They were still trying to understand how to incorporate the DNA into their own species in order to procreate on their own. They have established it now where they are able to match to other species if desired.
So the human DNA was sort of a facilitator to connect with other species as well?
She says yes, big time, because we have
so much.
Such a variety, yeah. But it always is an exchange for something. She says they never will take unless there is she says like a universal exchange.
Sure, yeah, energy exchange.
Yeah.
Exactly, pretty much.
So,
middle class, suburban, growing up, and I was definitely in the age where I played outside and didn't much get into like computers and whatnot.
Oh, okay. So you're an outside type of girl.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Many people now claim to have interactions with their hybrid children. Do in dream time and these things, will there be a time on the planet here where we can physically interact with these children, or is this more just an energetic thing to shift the planet energy so in a further out future these type of interactions can actually really happen?
She's saying right now it is done consciously, such as you have a human experience and that is collected and they can understand the human emotion and help raise their young. As far as physical interaction, she says, yes, we do see this in the future. This is partially why the hybridization program began, in order for the understanding that it can be integrated one with another and have this type of interaction. Mm-hmm. How the timelines pan out, that is difficult to explain.
Sure.
For it also depends on the human consciousness in the interaction. What is it they perceive the, quote, zetas to be like? Mm-hmm. If that can evolve, then yes, integration can happen very soon. Mm. If they can learn to trust more freely and open their hearts and minds into understanding They have not been so benevolent and open their hearts and minds into understanding
they have not been so benevolent
that there is connections that can be made. Then we see this happening more sooner than later. And the children are helping bridge that connection.
Sure. It's my understanding the Zetas were interested in the human, the individualisticness of the human experience. But yet they saw fault or logic, lack of logic in our dualistic ego selves, having sort of two consciousnesses in one consciousness. And I was trying to explain to them the embracing of the two is what makes us our individualism. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
In order to answer this question, she says, I want to explain that the Zeta consciousness has been in a state where it wasn't one without the other, because they understand how physics, mathematical interactions always have to have an opposite and equal reaction. You have to have two together, sort of idea. There is no concept in the logic mind of that single perspective creating, she says, its own breakoffs. It typically will always have a combating or another perspective to interact with. And so logically this did not make sense to their consciousness for quite some time. But what they are finding is that in expansion, there are aspects of themselves that they are missing that the human can help them experience, and some of that is through an individual human experience. Understanding that the human is a breakoff of many. It can split into many. And this is what they are very excited about and trying to incorporate. If you cannot logically, in a sense, think that it is possible, your consciousness, even if it is of slightly higher density, it cannot evolve past that until it comes to the conclusion that it must incorporate it into itself in order to evolve. Or, in this case, to the point where it could potentially die off if it doesn't seek elsewhere perspective.
So in other words, we can learn from the Zeta experience that if we get stuck in one direction, too focused in one way, then we won't be around very much for very long.
Yes.
So for getting back to our history, it just sounds like the human soup of all these different beings over our history of interaction and DNA and energies, and it's just been one big evolutionary experiment.
She likes that you said the evolutionary experiment. Yes, because we, or the Anunnaki, the creators, are all involved with the creators, are expanding in just the same that the human consciousness is, and that was previously misunderstood.
And I guess is ultimately the goal of all of this, is it to integrate back into source oneness through all these different paths of integration?
She says yes, and with that to understand that living in this third density has been beneficial for your learning, because now you can become the teachers and expand even more fully into the source energy that we are all trying to, what you might say, make sense of or understand within our hearts.
The Gnostic scriptures say when the real Christ come back, he said, well, I don't even know you. I never knew you. You're not even of me. I never knew you. You see what I'm saying? So we don't even have to even be convinced about that type of thing. Because in actuality, see, the good part about this is this type of thing here. You have to be, what you have to do is you got to analyze who's talking to you. I'll come up with a whole bunch of damn books. Be honest with you, I didn't even want you to get this shit. That's the thing about it. There's a difference. Motherfucking Christian wants you to, they want your soul. I really don't give a fuck about y'all motherfuckers up in here. Y'all are putting shit on another level. I don't give a shit about you. I couldn't give a goddamn if you screw the elephant tomorrow. Shit done went on another level now. So you can't say, that brother, they're trying to get some followers. Or he's trying to get his point of view across. I don't give a damn. You wanna know why? I got told you, I got 2 eyes on my damn stove. You understand what I'm saying? And as of goddamn December, I got a motherfucking rat problem in my goddamn house. And I'm an expert at killing rats. You know what I'm saying?